Now is a difficult time. Know then, the year is 2024, and the most precious resource in all of the known universe is the popcorn bucket from Dune Part 2. That's only available in the desolate wasteland known as AMC Movie Theater. We don't have those here. Here, one man must save us all. He must shift through all the sand, rough, coarse, irritating, and it gets everywhere. Will he fulfill the prophecy?
Spice, ice spice, pumpkin spice, old spice, the spice. The spice! I got the spice!
That's awesome. There's a car driving by when you said that. Hey there, boys and girls. Welcome to the Didn't Hate It Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Josiah Burnett, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, Louis Jennings.
From DAI.
Yeah, he just flew back from Germany.
Yeah, I took a pilgrimage like Paul. Not that Paul, but a Paul.
Yeah, not like Bible Paul or Dune Paul.
Maybe Dune Paul.
Maybe Dune Paul.
Who knows?
Who knows? We'll figure that out. Yeah, so today, if you can't guess it, we're going to talk about just a little gem of a movie.
If you can
you call that? Coal is a gem, right?
Yeah, wow.
Right? It's like a precious resource.
If you're a scientist, can you verify?
Yeah, any scientists out there that want to call Dune a precious resource for us, please. So I know what you're thinking. We're going to talk about the Timothée Chalamet classic.
Yeah, Dune Part 2 is coming out really soon.
Yeah.
It's really tight and awesome film.
Yeah, it's interesting, but very slowly paced.
Yeah, it's
meticulous.
groundbreaking.
Yeah.
People say it's one of the best films of like the decade.
Sci-fi masterpiece.
Yeah, like who's not going to do a podcast on it?
Yeah, us. We are not going to talk about that one because why would we do that when we have the 1984 version?
Yeah, with Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart, yes, with the mullet at one point. I don't know if you got that far.
I did not.
Okay.
I'm going to be honest. I was not strong enough to finish this movie.
Look, that's why we exist, to help you guys experience this without having to suffer like we did. I think we should start, before we start with the original Dune, we'll call it, 1984's Dune by David Lynch. There was a Dune that was supposed to happen that never happened. And it was 10 years before, in the distant year of 1974. And it was a French director named Alejandro Jodorowsky.
Is that before Star Wars?
Yes, it was right. So everyone says, so there's a documentary called Jodorowsky's Dune, and everyone says that it should have been bigger than Star Wars. Now, I have my doubts.
I don't know about all that.
Yeah, just because, like, Jodorowsky is kind of crazy. Like, if you look at his other work and stuff, like, he's pretty insane.
Mi ambición fue tremenda. I wanted to make something sacred, una película que diera las alucinaciones de LSD.
Have you heard anyone with the last name like that that's not crazy?
I mean, that's fair. Like, it is funny that it's never, like, going to be a Rob Smith, you know?
Yeah.
It's always, like, Alejandro Jodorowsky.
Yeah, Denis Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve. They have a type. When they went David Lynch, they went wrong with Dune.
Oh, they should have hired like a wee Gonzalo.
That's going to be offensive to some French people, I hope. So there was a Dune, and let me just tell you a little bit about it, because
I'm hyped.
Yeah, I'm telling you, what he was trying to do is crazy. And he got pretty close, and then they scrapped it. So here's what was going to happen. So it was Jodorowsky, and he approached Pink Floyd to do some of the music. So Pink Floyd was going to do the score. They were already signed on.
That already sounds amazing.
They had just released Dark Side of the Moon. They were recording it when Jodorowsky went to talk to them. And
can you hear it in Dark Side of the Moon? Can you hear it in like, hey, yeah, what are you doing?
I think so. Yeah, I think you could hear his little small voice. Like, I'm doing Dune. That's not all that we know. He was going to cast Salvador Dali, like the artist.
He acts?
That's a great question. The melting clock guy. That's what we call him from public school.
How was he going to be Paul?
He was going to play the emperor. So it's going to be a small role, but still.
That sounds really awesome.
Insane, right? Like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And so I have more on that in a minute, but another person that was going to be in there, Orson Welles was going to play the dad, the filmmaker
cool.
Orson Welles,
That's
which is
pretty dope, actually.
insane, right? So Mick Jagger was going to play, I believe, Duncan.
Ain't.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can't Get No Satisfaction or the role in Dune. And also his son, Jodorowsky's son, Brontis, which, gotta admit, that's a dope name. Brontis Jodorowsky. Imagine.
Is he still out here?
Yeah,
Can we get him on the podcast?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I think he went on to act. He was in a lot of his dad's movies.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
Good for him.
But
Good
not
for
in
you.
this one because it didn't happen. So I do want to show, because Lewis, you didn't really know about this one.
No.
And honestly, I don't know if it would have been good, but compared to what we're about to talk about,
Yeah.
We'll
it
see.
sounds entertaining at the very least.
it sounds, I mean, just the cast alone is
Yeah.
like, I'm very interested. But so here are a couple of the storyboards that they released of what Jodorowsky was going to do. So that's like, like a Star Wars bike.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be Duncan, Ohio there.
Yeah. And what's that going to be?
Or Idaho, whatever state his name is.
Wait, scroll down. Jared Leto was going to be in this movie?
No, I think that's supposed to be the dad. So that's who Mick Jagger would have been.
Wow.
Which, honestly...
That looks like Mick Jagger.
It does, doesn't it? So, I mean, I'd take that.
Yeah.
If I mean, as opposed to what we got.
Yeah.
So this was supposed to be Salvador himself, the emperor. Look at that green. He looks like a melting clock of a man right there.
Yeah, it's fitting.
Yeah, it's fitting, right?
It's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor for Salvador Dali.
So,
There's a couple more. There's the Hungarian or whatever they call them. We're gonna butcher all the names because they're made up anyway.
My immediate first question is, how are they gonna make this in the 1970s?
So that's a great question. They didn't know either. They had a lot of like really famous like special effects people and people that worked on Star Wars and went on to work on probably future Star Wars. But so what happened was Jodorowsky wrote the script and it was going to be 10 to 14 hours long. So the studio said, that's a little long. And he said, it's a masterpiece. We have to do it. And then they just didn't do it. They also had a budget, I believe, of like $5 million. I can fact check that. But they wound up spending like the entirety of the budget before they started shooting.
On like pre-production? Mm-hmm. So that's why.
Yes. So it was never meant to be, apparently. But
are there like props floating around from this, or?
No props, but there were. So I think they made two really big, like 3,000 page storyboard books.
Wow.
And so those exist, but I think there's only two in existence. Yeah. But it would have been at least trippy.
Yeah.
At the very least. Oh, so before we move on and talk about what we're actually going to talk about, I have to read this from the Wikipedia because it's just so good. So this is official source Wikipedia. You cannot go wrong with this source. Okay. I'll just read it verbatim because you just really need to soak this one in. So Salvador Dali was set to play the emperor and claimed he wanted to be the highest paid actor in Hollywood history. So he asked for $100,000 per hour, to act, right? So Jodorowsky said, sure, but then he reduced the emperor's scenes so that Dali would be needed for no more than 1 hour, right? But there's more. With the rest of his lines spoken by a robotic lookalike. I don't even know what that means, but
they were gonna use AI.
Like AI in 1974.
Which they were gonna invent AI just so they didn't have to pay Salvador Dali.
But wait, there's more. Okay, so Dali accepts this, right? But on the one condition that the plastic lookalike was donated to his museum, and that his throne was to be made of a toilet made up of 2 intersected dolphins.
That they make. I
There's
really
no
want
storyboard on that one. I looked, I tried, I know. There's probably an AI thing out there for that. I'm gonna try to do that if I have
like an
to.
AI generated toilet with 2 intersected dolphins.
Yeah, show us Dali's throne, will you, please? Salvador Dali's throne for us. But yeah, that's what that movie was gonna be like.
I immediately wish that I watched that instead of half of what I just
know.
watched.
So let's get into the movie at hand. Dune 1984, your favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, half of my favorite movie of all time.
So you stopped watching, and I can't blame you. Yeah. Where did you stop?
I don't remember.
That's okay.
Because it all just kind of feels the same. I think they were going to Arrakis. Like, I remember it.
Stopped so early.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? So I've never seen this in its entirety. And I saw Dune, the Denis Villeneuve, the other crazy sounding guy. I saw his version first, and thank God I did, or else
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on.
I will say the set design, like
There's some cool
of the,
things.
the practical effects.
Yeah, this right here is kind of cool, but then also like, is it cool? Like the whole like Sabak tank on wheels. I kind of like that.
Yeah, the fact that the sweep behind it.
Yeah, they're playing like curling as they leave the okay
in that
trash
moment-
bag
yeah.
suits too.
In that moment where they all turn and look at it like, what are you looking at? And
He's like, nothing to see here.
And another thing, like right here, like after like a major scene, like we get to hear the characters' thoughts, like even though like we can see it on their faces, just like, wow, I don't know how that meeting went.
Why would they want the Duke's son killed?
Yeah, so that's another thing that we didn't mention for those of you that haven't seen it. You can hear their thoughts, like every character's thoughts in the form of whispers.
Yeah, and I thought it was like a psychic thing, like, oh, this character has psychic powers. Oh, that character also has psychic powers. Oh no, they're just thinking.
Far off in the control rooms of spice gas.
He shall know your ways as if born to them.
The water of life.
The costuming and like everyone has weird hair, but not in a good way.
Yeah, like, so you know how we looked at the storyboards for Jodorowsky stuff? That has a charm to it.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but there's a charm. This is like trash bags and bald caps.
And like the I forgot what they're called, but the enemy army, they have like a weird like and it's just, like someone pranked them and shaved their head.
Like a reverse mohawk.
Yeah.
And it's not flattering on them. And also the bad guys are way too silly to be taken seriously.
Yeah. I'm like, whoa. Hold
Patrick
on.
Stewart?
What are you doing here?
Also, what is that musical instrument?
Why is he bringing that?
Yeah.
I'm not in the mood.
Not in the mood. Mood's a thing for cattle and love play, not fighting.
That actor's not very good. The one that plays Paul, not a fan of him. Especially, I don't even know if I thought I would say this a couple years ago. I thought Timothée was really overrated. But seeing that Dune and seeing his performance, he was awesome.
Like he's like a perfectly cast as Paul.
Yeah, like too bad he wasn't even a little fetus back then, because this guy. So then this happens.
What's wrong with Gurney?
You know, they thought, wow, this is so cool. People are gonna flip out when they see this.
Yeah, but I mean,
it looks like 2 chocolate bars.
Is this what you're talking about when you said Minecraft moment?
Minecraft fight. It's like, and also you can barely see the fight because it's like taking up so much.
Oh, and here's a dumb thing. If you move slow enough, knives penetrate the shield.
It works like that in the other one, right?
Yeah, but in here it looks really stupid.
It does.
So like the concept in the new one kind of makes sense because it's like you have to move it in a certain way. It's not just, but like literally Patrick Stewart says, "You're right. If you you move the blade slow enough, it'll penetrate the shield."
Help!
And look, he's like,
he's about to cry.
I know. And yeah, so if you're wondering at this point, what is going on? Yeah, I don't know either.
Duncan. Paul, I was just on my way to say goodbye to you.
Yeah,
He just,
that's not Jason Momoa, is it?
he looks just like a regular guy.
Hey, that could be me. He could be me in this. Jason Momoa and Timothée Chalamet, again, it's a sentence I never thought I would say. They have good chemistry.
Yeah, like Timothée Chalamet, like the clean-shaven, like straight-laced guy, and Duncan, Idaho, or
whatever state
Jason-
he's from.
yeah.
Iowa, Oklahoma.
Duncan, Mississippi.
Yeah.
Like, he's like the cool rebel guy, but he just looks like howdy doodly.
Yeah, he's just like, howdy doody, folks. And it's like, yeah, okay.
Oh, howdy, Paul. How you doing? Why is he always on the verge of tears?
Because he's in Dune, 1984.
He's like, I don't want to be here.
He's like,
Can
I
we go
signed
home?"
the contract before I knew.
Mr. Lynch, please, this is awful.
Yeah.
This is what I'll do to the Duke and his family.
You can just hear their thoughts.
Yeah.
And all of them, not just one of them, not just Paul because he's Superman or whatever, not just his mom because she's a witch, like literally the Emperor, just a dude.
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart, you can hear his thoughts. Of course, he is Professor X, so
Yeah. He can hear our thoughts.
he can hear ours. Yeah. Is this a Fortnite lobby theme?
This is almost a Fortnite lobby. They're about to go on duos right now.
So what's funny is when they come out, you're like, oh, these guys are going to be very central to the plot. Are they?
Tweedledee and Tweedle Dum.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it feels like they just do weird stuff just to be weird.
Just to be, yeah.
Not to actually build the world.
Because, like, in the world, that's the little tiniest little drop of Capri Sun.
Yeah.
And you have to kill a little tiny elephant-looking thing.
Why not have it pre-killed?
Just juice them.
Yeah. When he, like, threatens the guy and starts floating, he's like, I'm going to do this to the family. And he pulls his heart plug. He's like, they don't have heart plugs. You can't,
I know.
You can't do that.
Then he put a heart plug in the Sideburn guy. Did you get to that part?
I did not.
So apparently you can put heart plugs at will. He put 2 of them.
So
he specified 2.
He's basically just stabbing people.
Pretty much, yeah. He's putting dipsticks in people's hearts. So this is how they travel through space. Okay, so they go in the space orifice, and then you tell me what's happening here, Lewis.
Is that
a worm? What's the guy from Slimer from Ghostbuster? Space orifice? What is that? Why? Can anyone explain?
It made the Scooby-Doo sound for a second.
It kind of did, yeah. What am I looking at? Is this what I'm gonna look? The back of my head's gonna look like in 20 years?
Is this where babies come from?
Maybe, I don't know. Was this when God spoke the universe into creation? Yeah, so that happens, and then it's just like, okay, now you're at the planet. What? Look at those worms go.
Do they shoot lightning out of their forehead?
Yes, they do. They actually do.
Spice. Pure, unrefined spice.
Every white girl, when they go to the pumpkin spice Starbucks drink.
Spice.
So pure.
Spice.
So that's spice, you know, the thing that you fuel a spaceship with.
Yeah, drugs. And he's just gonna eat it.
Yeah.
It was like he just ate a Bean Boozled. He's like, oh,
earwax again.
I got toothpaste.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh.
He's like, wait a minute.
I can taste color.
I should not have done that.
Yeah, wait a minute. Isn't that some expensive stuff?
Remember, kids, do not drink jet fuel.
Do not do jet fuel, kids, okay? You don't really know what's going on or who's attacking who. It's just happening.
We don't really see missiles flying. It's just planes flying and exploding.
There's one scene that they forgot to put the lasers. So you hear pew, 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 and you see lasers in other parts, but they don't have the laser bolts coming out of it. It's just like pew, 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 and people just falling. And yeah, this goes on for entirely too long.
What? Duncan.
So wasn't the whole premise of the shields that it has to go slow enough to penetrate?
Because I was thinking like, oh, so like knives can pass through but not bullets.
That's what I was thinking. And then when you put the shield on, I'm like, oh yeah, they have shields. Why aren't we just using the shields a bunch? Now I get it. Yeah. Because they look and act bad.
Because they serve zero purpose unless you're diving at people.
Yeah.
Like they're a judge or something.
So I think at one point he discovers that his mom is pregnant with his unborn sister. But
did she choose to have that sister?
That's a good
this
question.
One's going to be a girl.
I didn't hear the thought process on that.
You carry my unborn sister in your womb.
He knows.
The acting is genuinely bad in these scenes, especially by her. Just because like half the time she's just like, oh. She sounds like Peach from Mario Party. Oh! Anyways, really, there's no point in going through the whole thing because once you get past the point that Dune Part 1 has gone through, you can't make sense of it. Like, maybe if you've read the book, but I was just talking to a guy today that read the book and said the movie, he has no idea what's going on.
Fade. And when we've crushed these people enough.
That's how I wake up in the morning.
Hey, that was necessary for the movie, guys.
Yeah. That's what jet fuel does to you.
David Lynch, why? Why?
It's integral to the plot. It's a metaphor.
He couldn't cut that out. I mean, let's be honest.
Thank God we're not hearing his thoughts.
Oh my gosh, he don't have a lot of thinks up there, you know? He not thinking so much.
Didn't look horrible.
It actually looks okay when it's alone.
Oh. I see now. Is there like a massive time jump?
It's been quite a time jump, and they get the Emperor to come to them. The soundtrack to this is sick.
Yeah.
It's just too bad. It feels like Tenet. You can't tell what's going on. You can't tell what's forward and backwards.
For me, the soundtrack's all right. I like the new soundtrack better.
True. But I mean, this one is very 80s, and like when it's supposed to like punch, it punches.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the story, not so much.
Your Highness, there must be some mistake. I never requested your presence.
Ah, but your lack of action demanded it.
So that's the lady at the beginning, but in this movie, they never explain who she is or why she's the narrator at all.
She's the main character.
Apparently, all along. So they find his sister.
Poor Emperor. I'm afraid my brother won't be very pleased with you.
Silence!
Kill this child. She's an abomination.
Yeah, and so what's funny is this whole light glass thing, like, it did time jump, but so much has happened, and they don't explain it or they don't go over it, so, like, all of a sudden... water is... So there's secret water on this planet, I guess, and so, like...
They're flooding it to weaponize?
Somehow, but it doesn't make a lot of sense, okay?
It doesn't look like water.
It looks like sand, right?
Yeah.
My brother is coming with many Fremen warriors.
It's a grown woman's voice, ADR'd over a little girl.
Yeah.
See, that looks fine. I think the worms alone look good.
But,
Today I will avenge your death.
Right there.
Yeah.
Every time we give it a compliment, it's just like...
I know, it's like, now, Like, that looks good for, back then.
Literally, every time we say, oh, that looks all right. Mm.
And honestly, Patrick Stewart, oh my gosh, that... yeah, showing the back, too. You gotta show the back of that.
Every time we say, oh, that looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
An impassable
What is on that man's nose?
I think it's like an iron nose, an iron schnoz, if you will.
Like he was picking his nose too much.
So then they get on the merry-go-round. Now, I do want to see Salvador Dali, like, on the merry-go-round.
He's going, oh, I'm the highest paid actor in horror.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyways, this goes on for far too long.
Like this entire movie.
Yeah. Sometimes there's laser bolts, sometimes there's not. Sometimes there's fire, sometimes there's not. You can actually see the overlay of the effects.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. It's like stuff you would do when you're putting Lego like stop motion things together.
Even in some of the Lego stop motions have better
That's true.
effects than this.
I think most Lego stop motion is better than this.
Did she just slide out of frame? Someone just grabbed her PNG and was like, whoop, whoop.
And then he just gets swallowed up by Wormy Boy.
He saw him on top of the lips for a second.
Yeah. I feel like at this point they truly just gave up.
Yeah.
Like I think at this point they knew. Like the first half I was following and it wasn't great, but it wasn't the worst.
Yeah.
And then they got to this part and they're like, what is even that shot?
Is she evil?
What emotion is she supposed to be giving? Also, I think he has kids by now, but they never say that. But like his wife, and yeah, I guess that's his wife now, is standing next to a bunch of kids. See? 2 kids and the pug. The pug survived. Look at this choreography.
Why prolong the inevitable? I will kill you!
Also, at this point, like, he's supposed to be like a little Hercules of a man, like, as far as thought-wise, but he's like fighting him man to man, even though he can just speak and kill him immediately. The sound effects are also weird.
No music.
Yeah,
It's super
just
awkward.
breathing noises.
I will kill him!
What? What?
And how can this be? For he is the Kwisatz Haderach.
You want to know something funny? That's the end of the movie.
So he just makes it rain, and they're like, "Huh, he is the guy."
Yeah. Yeah, his little demonic sister over there is like,
I hope that's how Dune Part 2 ends. Timothy Chalamet just stares at the camera, drooling, and they're like, "Oh, I guess he was the main character."
it is fun. He has no emotion on his face. He's just, this is my audition for Paul.
He's just like,
Right.
his mouth is open. Wow.
That's Dune, everybody.
Really happy I didn't watch that.
Yeah, so how do you feel, Lewis?
I feel like Timothy Chalamet needs to save me.
Yeah, I think so too.
And-
It's weird to me that movie happened this way, because now that I've seen the remake, some of it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I know what it was supposed to be doing, but who looked at this and said, you can put that out?
No one.
Well, that's going to be our show. Thank you for hanging in there if you did. Make sure you like and subscribe and all that jazz.
Yeah,
you guys
I
like
like
jazz? And we'll see you in the next video.
Yeah. Bye.